Welcome back to Uncovering Real Estate, brought to you by the Brampton Real Estate Board. Before the break, we were talking about second units and basement apartments with Heather and Elizabeth, and we're going to continue the conversation. The next question that I want to address is the length it takes to actually complete registration. I'm guessing it's quite a process?
It is quite a process and can be time-consuming, especially if construction has to take place. The registration bylaw allows up to 18 months to complete that process. Obviously, if there's some time that it needs to be added to that, there are exceptions that we can extend the time if progress is actually being made. But it's not something that we like people to rush through, and it's certainly not something that we're going to push. 18 months is the time it usually takes.
Okay, so just to be clear, there are no provisions for expediency of any sort?
Well, if everything comes in, it can certainly be done much faster than 18 months. It allows people the flexibility to take their time with it, but we've certainly seen them come in and be registered within 3 or 4 months.
Oh, fantastic. So I'm guessing, like most official things, if your papers are in order, you have the right information, it will get done sooner rather than later.
That is correct.
Fantastic. Another question that one of our viewers had is, what happens, God forbid, if you don't register the second unit? Is that the city going to come all hammers and tongs on you?
There is an enforcement process, and we do get some inquiries through that process for investigations. If you are found to have a unit that's not registered and you're renting it out as a second unit, there is an opportunity that enforcement staff will provide to you to come in and register. If you fail to do that, it is a matter that would proceed through prosecution. There's maximum fines established by the court. I think it's $25,000 for an individual and $50,000 if you're a corporation. But those are fines. If you fail to take our advice and come in to register as you're required to do, then ultimately that could be the cost.
Okay. So, but benevolence is the first port of call in this situation. That's great to know. What is the process actually for registration?
Sure. The process is actually set out, and I'm going to just hold up this little guide. It is the Second Unit Homeowners Guide, and they are available at a lot of the facilities throughout the city. We're happy to provide them to individuals in bulk as well if they would like to hand them out to clients and neighbors. It's a 4-step process involving applying for a confirmation of compliance with the zoning bylaw to determine if your property qualifies. And then if it does, you'll be asked to get a building permit. You'll also need certification from the Electrical Safety Authority and verification of insurance. So once all of those things are obtained, the final registration fee is paid and your property will be registered. It's a one-time process. It does not involve annual licensing or another visit, at a separate time. It doesn't involve any additional inspections. Once your unit is complete and registered, you're good to go.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth, but do all those bodies that you have to go through in the registration process, do all of them come under the purview of the city, or some of those could be private companies?
Yes, some of them are private companies. The Electrical Safety Authority is an independent body, and they would have their own fees associated with their electrical safety inspections. The building code and the building permit is certainly under the purview of the city. The insurance, obviously, from your insurance provider, and it's really just a verification that you have selected homeowner insurance for a 2-unit dwelling.
Okay, good. Thanks for clarifying that. Heather, you mentioned in the first segment that the common conception of second units is usually basement apartments, but they can be in a variety of different forms. And that just naturally leads me to ask you, how big can a second unit be? Is it as big as one desires, or are there any stipulations?
Well, for a 2-story house, the GFA of the second floor, say, is 2,000 square foot. A second unit could be up to 900 square feet. So we have 45% of a 2-story could be a second unit, but for a bungalow, and this was something that we had to take a careful look at.
Do they still make those?
We hope so. That it could be greater. It could be up to 75% of the total GFA. Because of the form of the.
I wonder then if there are situations where maybe even actually the primary owner of the whole house sometimes might live in the second unit and rent out the main house.
Yes, we don't have anything around, any restrictions around that. As I mentioned, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the basement.
Okay, fantastic. Now, when someone has a second unit, a legal registered second unit, are they obligated also to provide extra parking?
Yes, yes, we do require one additional parking space for the second unit, so that, and that's to, you know, not have, there were concerns when we went through the public consultation process and getting thoughts and ideas on how to permit second units in Brampton, because we were given that flexibility. The legislation said we had to permit them, but then we could come up with what the policies and regulations around that would be, and we did make that a requirement so as to not have a lot of on-street parking or any concerns around extra parking required.
Okay. Another thing you touched on, Heather, in the first segment was about entrances to the second unit. Now, are there any clear specifications on where entrances should be? Can they be at any part of the house? How does that go?
And I'll let Elizabeth speak to that, but
Okay.
it can be in different, it doesn't necessarily have to be from the outside.
That's correct. The entrance can be in the side yard, can be
Okay.
in the rear yard, as long as there is a clear path of travel with no barriers to get there of at least 4 feet in width.
Okay.
So if your air conditioning unit is in the path of travel, that would not be permitted.
Okay.
Many people are opting to put their entrance to the second unit either inside the garage or through a shared vestibule inside the house to achieve that path of travel. So there are lots of alternatives. Typically that would be permitted in the rear yard on any house. In the side yard there are some restrictions because of access and setbacks that are required to the door and to a below grade entrance.
Well, that's really interesting. I actually wasn't aware of the fact that you could even have a second entrance inside the house through a vestibule. That's a great option to have, and I think many people would probably avail of that, because as homes get more complex, you know, units outside and all, things can get pretty tricky sometimes.
It can.
So it's great to see that the City of Brampton is providing people with so many different options. Folks, we'll continue the conversation on second units and basement apartments after the break. Stay tuned to Uncovering Real Estate, brought to you by the Brampton Real Estate Group.